Stop jumping on me. Why are you doing that?
Having a bad dog day?
Rex, come back here.
From police dogs to pet dogs, from potty training to pet peeves, #1 best-selling author and 30-year canine trainer Andy Falco knows how to get to the meat of what's eating your dog. This is Falco Canine Dog Talk, the show that helps you and your dog create a relationship of love and respect.
What a good boy. Good heel, Rex. I love you, Rex.
And now here's your host, Andy Falco.
Hello and welcome to Falco Canine Academy's Train the Dog Trainer program. My name is Andy Falco, and before we get started, well, I guess this is the start. So as we start, I want to make sure and help you understand that where we are right now, as far as this podcast is concerned, is that I'm not even to the point where you are running a business yet or starting a dog training business. All right, this is all the stuff that needs to happen before you create the name, before you put that ad in the newspaper because the bank wants you to do that in order to start a business or whatever it is, sole proprietorship, or whatever they're going to have you do because newspapers are going away. But this is before all of that there's things you need to do. And as I said in episode 1, you need to get started training dogs, get a bunch of dogs under your belt. So you have a foundation firmly laid before you open up that business and you have that first customer come through your door or on into the park where you're at when we're going to meet them, whatever it is, right? So you need to get started training dogs, but you're not going to get paid for training dogs, right? You're going to be training dog after dog after dog, whether it's your dog, your pet dog, your neighbor's pet dog, your family's pet dog. Rescues and shelters. You want to get dogs under your belt where you have a plan where you're going, okay, today or with this dog or one thing I want to work on is this skill or whatever. Each day you're going to say, okay, I want to get this dog to sit, right? And then I want to get this dog to down, which can be one of the hardest things to train a dog, especially a strong dog, is getting him in that down position and how you overcome the dog's unwillingness to do that. You want to have a few experiences of different kinds of dogs. If you are choosing not to be in the area of aggressive dogs, then, of course, you need to make sure that every dog you're training is not an aggressive one because you don't want to deal with that. Maybe you're not prepared. Maybe your nerves can't handle it. And I would just steer away from that unless you are experienced in training simply how to make your average dog sit, right? And how to get your average dog to down. The last thing you want to do is say, you know what, I want to make sure and save all the aggressive dogs in the world and make them not aggressive any longer. And you start with them and you go to get to that down and you're going to get hurt because the dog's going to bite you. All right, so you need to understand that you have to start where it is that your comfort level is, where your experience is, and make sure that you just get started training dogs. And I hope that wasn't lost, and it may have been lost in the very first episode, that this is not, we haven't even started the business yet. We are just getting experience. Just get started training a bunch of dogs. Get into those shelters and rescues and say, where are your mild-mannered dogs? Because I want to see if I can just, make a difference in their life by taking them for a walk, and I'm going to get one to sit and stay while I just simply move away for a foot and come back, and then I'm going to go 2 feet, then I'm going to go 3 feet, then I'm going to go 4 feet and come back, and you're going to journal all of that and talk about it in a manner that you can understand later on if you need to read it, and that you're identifying what the dog's ears were doing, what his eyes were doing, what his lips were doing. Did he have a guttural growl? Did he have a fearful and kind of uneasy whine to him? Did he shake a lot? Shaking is really good information. If you see a dog shaking, it just there's things he's trying to tell you. How much progress did you make? Did you even get to the point where he would even sit? Did you get to the point where he would stay? And you want to have all this stuff under your belt, and you want to write it down. I cannot impress upon you how important I truly believe that is. Now, you may think, oh, I don't need to do that. But I'm telling you, I think it's powerful. I wrote down every moment that I was with dogs in the beginning. I have volumes of notebooks. I don't have them as easily accessible as I used to. Most of them are up in rafters, and maybe some of them got lost. I know a bunch of them got stolen by some trainers that I had in the past. That's one thing you'll learn about the dog training business. It's a funky one, and you're going to have to kind of get used to that. And if you hire trainers, you're going to have a really good, and we're going to talk about this later, a really good way of selecting them and understanding that at some point it's going to go horribly wrong from time to time. So back to my point. All right, so you need to get these dogs trained and under your belt. You need to go to shelters and rescues and volunteer your time. I'm not telling you you're going to do it forever. Do it for a month or two. Do it over the summer. If you're a student, if you're young and just getting started, if you're, retired, and just spend some time with some dogs. Do it. Everybody wants, help, and so get some experience. Go to the nearest trainer and say, hey, I want to intern with you, and in return, I will pick up dog crap, on weekends when you're not able to. Come in, and that way you can spend more time with your family. Whatever that is, be imaginative, come up with ideas, figure out how it is that you can, volunteer your time and get some dog training under your belt. That's the important thing, right? Is that you want to get some dog training under your belt. The tools, like I said in episode 2, is that you want to experience all the tools. You want to go to classes, go to a electronic collar class, not that and again, I'm understanding that some people are making some horrible faces right now, like, wait, did he say the E word? Yes. Go, even if you think it is completely inhumane, all right? And try to relax when you're there. Don't be the person that stands up and says, you horrible person, you need to die because you're using electronic collar. Be there to learn. Understand that that's going to take place whether you're there or not, and it's going to continue after they kick you out of the class. All right, so be there unless it's completely horrible. Unless you see them stabbing the dog in an eye with a knife or a fork. If you see that, then call the police. But I'm telling you that that's not going to happen. You could think that the use of electronic collar is arrestable, but it's not. All right, but learn and see. I've, as a student, went to electronic class, and I'm not going to tell you who it was, and I was appalled by what I saw and said, "You got to be kidding me, really?" And I've even talked to the trainer after it wasn't that day. It was probably a month or two later on when I saw him at another event. And I said, "I want to talk to you about when you had this dog and you decided." To put 2 electronic collars on him. One was on his testicles and one was on his neck. And just get your thoughts about why you think that is good and how that works for you, and have you had success with it. And are you aware of the perception of how it looks to other people? And we had a discussion. And he didn't change my mind, but because I think much of it had to do with laziness. I think it's lazy when people go to extremes with dogs to try to do something. But that doesn't mean the electronic collar, in my opinion, is an inhumane tool. It is how it's being used that sometimes can be inhumane. And many times when I have used it, it has been for all the right reasons, and it's been the only tool that was going to make a difference in that dog's life. So, and we're going to talk about this later, right? Don't sign off now. Now you're never going to listen to another podcast. But I'm telling you, just again, this is one of the things I want to tell you, is that you want to be present. And whether you believe in it or not, I think it's powerful for you to know, right? So you can have that discussion, an educational discussion with somebody, because you know what it is you're talking about, because you've seen it, you've experienced it, you've been around when it's been used, and all that kind of stuff. All right. So now you're going to continue on this path, and you're journaling, and you are, making sure that you are training dogs appropriate for where it is in your experience, where you are. And you make it as positive as possible for you, the dog, the people that you are volunteering for, and you are gathering names and remembering who people are that you come in contact with in the dog training world, and write them down, because they are going to become useful later on. Some of them are going to be people that are going to refer business to you. Some of them are going to be people that you're going to refer business to, and it's going to expand. Your circle of networking needs to expand as you continue on in this dog training world. As one of the things I am going to be right up front about is that there's many dog trainers that are horrible with people, fantastic with dogs. You don't want to be one of them. Yeah, you can choose to be if you want to. But my whole purpose for putting this podcast together was that I want to make dog trainers profitable in their business. I want them to make money while they're running a dog training business. I don't think dog trainers need to be poor because you're doing something that you love, right? There's this weird thing that some dog trainers think, well, I'm a dog trainer, so I can't charge more than $25 an hour. Really? Yeah, yes, you can, and you should, because you over time, if you do it, in a way that builds your expertise to such a level, you can charge what other experts charge for their expertise. And so, as that grows and as time goes by, your experience is going to grow. Your circle of your network is going to increase, and it is important, right? You want to do a very good job of being that dog trainer who has many contacts and many avenues of influence as you go along. You want to know the dog food companies. You want to know the equipment creators and manufacturers. You want to know who they are. As I was going through my period of time early on as a dog trainer, I knew the owners of such companies as Ray Allen. I knew their management. I knew the manufacturers. I knew their sales personnel. I could call them and email them and have a conversation with them about other stuff other than dogs. Again, building that relationship with them so that when I did need them for whatever it is, that I could call upon them. If I needed them to sponsor something, if I needed to see if there were any upcoming discounts for an event that I was hosting, and maybe I could provide that discount or pass that discount on to my customers because of who I knew in that company. Blue Buffalo is a dog food company that you probably know and heard of, and I got to know many of the people within Blue Buffalo, and so on and so forth. Elite Canine, so many names I can't even think of all the names now. I knew the distributors. There were 4 distributors. Wow, 4 distributors in my area here in Southern California, and I knew them. I walked into their warehouses. I knew who the people were. They would let me know when something new came out that I needed to be aware of. The local rescue and shelters I knew. The animal shelter, which is run by the County of Orange, I knew the lieutenant down there. I actually spoke at an event for them and some of their employees about how to handle an aggressive dog. And so this is what I'm talking about, building that network. So you are training as many dogs as possible. You are volunteering your time for different rescues and shelters and dog trainers as interns and that type of thing. And along the way, you're making connections. You are learning people's names. You are even going to learn the names of people that are just not great people in the dog world. I knew many of them personally. I had some of them contact me when I was president of the Orange County Police Canine Association, and they wanted to be members and wanted me to get them in, and I would do a little bit of investigative work on them and find out who they really are. And although what I would tell them is that the board met and the board decided as a whole that it wasn't a good fit for our organization, but I wanted to stay in. I want to know where they were, what they were doing all the time, because I was getting so many customers from them. And again, I knew them. I knew their system of training. They invited me to watch them train, and I knew why they were horrible trainers because I was seeing it. And again, in many cases, they were horrible with people, not necessarily just with dogs, right? They were just plain out horrible people, and did not know how to treat a customer and how to listen to a customer and how to speak to a customer. I speak differently sometimes to customer A than I do to customer M, and then customer Z. And then if I have a customer B, I may not talk to them the same way I do customer A, M, and Z, right? And so I can read people very quickly. I can understand what some of the problems there with their dogs because I understand the human being. And that's only because I know how to talk to my customers. And only when you know how to talk to them can you discover some of the things that you need to know about their dogs. So, got off track there. But networking, getting to know people, other things are non-dog related in your community are the Chamber of Commerce, the BNI, Business Networking. I forgot what the I stands for. I'm sure that it's something obvious. The Rotary clubs, the Lions den or club or whatever they're called. All the other community outreach type of organizations that and want speakers and things like that at their meetings that often raise money for police dogs in your community. Knowing them, understanding what it is that they want as far as a speaker and when they need speakers and that kind of stuff. Knowing when they have events. If you can have a booth at one of their events and you could be the only dog trainer there, you can actually give a demonstration at their event. So you see this network goes from this networking goes from the dog world to non-dog world, and it becomes business world. And you want to make sure you know who all those people are. All right. So networking is super important. And again, it's getting off, I think, in some cases. People will think, well, it's getting off of what I want. I just want to be a dog trainer. Why do I have to know the president of the local BNI? Because you are going to know them because you're going to send them a message or call them and say, hey, I have this new program that I'm introducing. Do you mind if I come and speak to your group about it? And they will say, oh, it so happens we need a speaker. We don't have one for October 23rd, whatever it is, right? And so can you come in then? And yeah, I can come in, and you're going to talk about dog training and maybe a little bit about running a business, because in a BNI, there's a little bit of a business aspect to it. So you can talk about your business and how you run your business and still talk about the services you provide and do something like that. So there's always ways to be able to do something in regard to introducing your company if you fall into what it is that particular group talks about and find a way to do that. All right. So back to the original thing again, networking, network. We'll be talking about this in the future in regard to giving demonstrations and speaking on stage and all that kind of stuff in the future. But you're never going to get there if you don't start gathering names and understanding who it is in your community that you need to be in touch with and know who they are. All right, so that's it for this episode. Get out there and start networking, and again, start in the dog world, and then as you're getting more influence in the dog world, then you're going to start working on all your business opportunities within your community. All right, that is it, and I will see you. I guess I won't see you. I will be talking to you at the next podcast. All right, take care. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to Falco Canine Dog Talk,
the show that helps you and your dog create a relationship of love and respect.
If you like what you just heard, we hope you'll pass along our web address at www.falcocanineacademy.com.
And like our Facebook page at facebook.com/Falco Canine Academy.
Follow us on twitter.com/Falco Canine Academy.
And subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/Falco143.
And remember, if you've got questions for Andy, call the Canine line at 714-798-9961. That's 714-798-9961.
This is a production of Falco Enterprises Incorporated. All rights reserved.